What's the trouble, Stu?
Relax, man. Don't get so agitated.
Looks like we got a road gang here.
A what? What?
Hey, what the hell's going on over here, Stu?
Gotta be
This
kidding.
son of a bitch is base stealing. Caught a hanger, Sarge.
What? A hanger? What are you saying? I don't even know what you're saying.
He's saying you're dealing off the bottom of the deck.
Oh, God. Come on, guys.
What's good, my fellow based patriots? It's your boy Kevin. Welcome back to the 1776 report. We are already starting to see the mainstream media interfere in the upcoming 2024 presidential election. This is nothing new. We have seen this time and time again. In the 2020 election, we saw it with the Twitter files, the Hunter Biden story. The FBI and Twitter colluded to suppress the Hunter Biden story. We saw it with Mark Zuckerberg donating over $350 million to shady Democratic causes that were ballot harvesting. This is nothing new, but it is blatantly obvious, and they got caught. Let's take a look. ABC News got caught putting their finger on the scale.
Some heat after viewers noticed clips from former President Trump's speech following his arrest. Well, the clips were altered to blur his podium. Look at that.
All right, so they were blurring the text Donald Trump to 88022 logo on his campaign sign there, which is the way that Donald Trump takes in donations. What a joke. This is nothing new, but now they're just doing it. They don't care. They don't give a damn. They're just going to interfere in these elections. So any conservative voice, there are the DeSantis backers out there who say, oh, they're not scared of Trump. They want him to win. They want him to win the GOP primary. They think they can beat him in the general election. Bullshit. Bullshit. If they thought that, if that was their master plan, they wouldn't be doing stuff like this. They are scared shitless of Donald Trump.
And the message that read, text Trump 88022 for donations to his campaign. They blurred that out at ABC.
Critics were also quick to note the network didn't blur clips from President Biden's rallies from the previous election cycle. Beverly Hallberg, president of District Media Group, fellow at Independent Women's Forum, joins us now. Beverly, should we really be surprised at this point?
Hell no, we shouldn't be surprised. This is par for the course. They did it in 2020. They're going to do it again in 2024. We just have to be smarter. We have to be better than they are. Donald Trump is going to get blasted by the usual suspects, the mainstream media. We know this. They are not going to give him fair coverage. We already know this. They're going to blur his phone number where he receives campaign donations. Now we know this. They're going to ballot harvest. We know this. So we have to do the same. We have to attack. We have to be just as smart. And we know the mainstream media is fixed. It's fixed. So we have to play the game by their own rules.
We shouldn't. I don't think any of us watching this found this to be a completely shocking development. Now, here is where the news outlets have an issue. Plenty of their staff members have a deep disdain for Donald Trump, yet they know he has good ratings. There's a reason why many of these outlets did cover his speech following his indictment. Now, I think what we have to wait and see is whether or not, as President Biden, I think we're guessing he's going to throw his hat in the race. What are they going to do for his rallies in the future? Are we going to see the same type of blurring?
Of course not. We're not going to see them blur Biden's donation number. We see it right here. Here it is. Here it is right here. No blurring. Text to 30330. Not blurred. This is obvious. They wanted to get the rating bump that Trump brings to the table, but they did not want to help his campaign by showing the number. They knew Americans were going to sympathize with him because he's getting politically persecuted by the fat, slimy greaseball Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney. Even people watching the liberal ABC News maybe would have donated to his campaign. So they were going to prevent that from happening by any means necessary. So they blurred the phone number. Complete joke. Blatantly obvious. No, they are not going to do the same to Joe Biden's campaign.
We'll have to wait and see. The contrast is going to be a little bit more stark when you see some Democrats get into the race. But I think overall, news outlets just have this hard time of knowing that this is good ratings, but not wanting to give him any type of credit whatsoever. But here's the thing. Donald Trump has raised over $8 million since his indictment. So I don't think blurring the text prevented him from getting any donations.
Yeah, I think it might have even jumped to over 10 million last I saw. And Beverly, here's the thing, like,
He's raised tons of money off of this political prosecution, and he continues to raise tons of money. His poll numbers have spiked. We just saw a Rasmussen poll come out yesterday that showed Donald Trump crushing Joe Biden in the general election. They are scared of Trump. It was a fluke election in 2020. It was an extremely weird election. You cannot use the 2020 election as a data set. You cannot use it as a predictor of what the 2024 election is going to look like. I did a video on that. I'll link it up above if you want to watch that video. I go into detail talking about why Trump should be the betting favorite going into 2024 and why I think he wins going away in the 24 election. They are scared of Trump. They know that Joe Biden has done a terrible job. The media knows this. Even though the fix is in with the mainstream media, they know that Donald Trump's presidency was smoother than Biden's. The economy was doing well. We didn't have crazy conflicts going on in Ukraine, Russia. We didn't have a terrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was going to be done slowly, methodically, and it wasn't done that way with the Biden administration. It was a complete disaster. They know the American public isn't stupid, and we see what's going on. So they are going to have to not only put their finger on the scale this time around, they're going to have to lay their whole body on the scale.
If they're going to blur the text to donation link or the number to text, I mean, fair enough if that's the style guide, if that's what you say, it's our policy as a network to do it. But if you're going to end up selectively blurring out the donation option only for candidates that people in your newsroom don't like, I mean, it's just like glaring. It's in your face, isn't it?
In the Federal Election Commission, the FEC should step in and do something. That is a violation. The Biden administration is getting a campaign donation from the mainstream media, right? If they're only going to blur out Trump's campaign phone number and not blur out Biden's, then Biden is getting a campaign donation, and it should have to be documented as such. And if they don't do that, then that is a campaign violation. You want to talk about campaign violations like we're seeing Trump charged with in Manhattan, which is a complete hoax and witch hunt. This is a true campaign violation. Even though Biden hasn't announced it yet, if they are going to be blurring Trump's phone number, campaign donation phone number, and not doing so with other candidates, that is a violation, or in my opinion, it should be. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that should be a campaign violation? I think it's pretty obviously a blatant violation of some type of FEC rule or regulation.
Yeah, how blatant do you want your bias to be? And I think that's the tricky place they put themselves in. Like you said, if this is the standard that they have, that anything that is donation related, they're going to blur it moving forward, fine. People can argue whether or not they think that's a good strategy. But then it gets to whether or not this is election interference. If the news outlets are going to very clearly prioritize the donations of one candidate over another, I think it's very easy to point this out as election interference. So if Joe Biden does throw his hat in the race, we're going to have to see how they cover it.
So down the road, say Joe Biden does get up there and talk, which that would be the day. But if do you think ABC should be held accountable for what they did with Trump?
I think so. And this is where you may even want to go to the FCC and say, hey, look, the way that these news outlets are covering these candidates is unfair. There is election interference if you are prioritizing one candidate over another, especially when you think about it in terms of campaign dollars and how people can donate. You are clearly suppressing one candidate, preferring another.
Right. If you're watching ABC News, you're probably a little bit left-leaning. It may not matter to them, but ABC News is not a cable network, right? They have a massive audience because it's free. You have an antenna, you can get ABC News, you can get ABC. So they have a massive audience. And a lot of Trump supporters who maybe can't afford cable, don't have cable, may watch ABC News. So that is 100% election interference. They are shaping the election and how candidates get donations by blurring this out. And they better blur out Biden's as well. And if they don't, it's just so obvious. Now, I don't expect that they will. I don't think they really care. The fix is in. We already all know that. But it's just a disgrace. Our media is a disgrace, and it is hurting the country.
see this. But I think when we point out things like this, hopefully news outlets realize, okay, we have to be a little bit more careful. We shouldn't have to do that, but we have to keep them accountable because the institution of media is a crumbling institution where bias has seeped in, and I think it's definitely going to seep into this next election.
You know, Beverly, quickly on this topic, I am just so curious what the internal conversation sounded like leading to that decision. It took effort to blur out that particular part of the screen. Multiple people made that decision together. That was a choice, right?
It may have been just a rogue editor who blurred it out. Highly doubtful. I'm almost positive it was probably an executive or a producer who said, we're not going to allow Donald Trump to raise a penny in campaign contributions off of our coverage. We're going to get the increased ratings. We're going to get the advertiser revenue, and we're not going to cover him fairly because we don't want him to win. They know that if it is a straight up election, if the coverage is fair, who wins? It's easy who wins. Donald Trump wins. He lost by 50,000 votes divided by 3 states, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia. Joe Biden has done a terrible job. Those 3 states have cracked down on how voting is done. And if the 2024 election is covered in a fair manner, Donald Trump wins. It's as simple as that. They are scared of the man. They are terrified, and they will do whatever it takes in order to put their finger on the scale. So Elon Musk labeled NPR state-sponsored media yesterday on Twitter. Look at this NPR article. Twitter labels NPR's account as state-affiliated media, which is untrue. Bullshit, it's untrue. It's 100% factual, state-sponsored media. I think Elon should start thinking about doing this to ABC News as well. We gotta fight back. We gotta stand up for what's right. And it is state-sponsored media. If you're only covering one side of the aisle fairly, because that is the candidate that you want to win, then you are sponsoring that candidate. So we need to call it what it is, and it's state-sponsored media. If you're new around here, do me a big solid. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to build this channel from the ground up. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until next time, peace.